Welcome back, learners. I hope you enjoyed your coffee break. The biscuits out there looked really nice. Were they nice? Yeah. Okay, look, we're back in the infant nutrition course. We've had a couple of hours this morning just going over the basics of infant nutrition. And we're going to move on to our next unit, which is how to prepare a baby's bottle. Just before we start, actually, mobile phones, just from the rules we're going this morning, could you just make sure that they're off?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, that's fine. So how are you finding the watches so far?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah? Are you getting the gist of what we're trying to achieve?
Yeah.
Yeah? Have you kind of been clear in setting out our goals and what we're going to cover in our units today?
Yeah.
So you know what to expect?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to move on to our first unit, so the aims and objectives. As before, we're just going to run through what the training aims are going to be. So we're going to provide you with the information on how to correctly prepare a baby's bottle. There is a lot of confusion out there. I'm sure you've had it from all of your mothers. And over the years, you know, the guidelines have changed slightly, but nothing major. But still, people are kind of doing it their own way, which, you know, we need to discourage because there are reasons why it has to specifically be done and adhere to the guidelines. And then the objectives of the module. By the end of this module, you will be able to list the 6 steps in preparing a baby's bottle. So I'll give you out some quiz forms, and basically you're just going to list them off and tell me that you just confirmed that what you've just learned. Okay? So then we're going to move on to our unit content. Okay, so each individual step we're going to go through, and the risks associated with preparing the bottle incorrectly. So I'm just going to name a few risks just to try and discourage people from doing it any other way. And then we're going to go through the 6 steps to preparing the baby's bottle. Okay, and then we're going to review what we've just learned. So we'll review the 6 steps again. Then we're going to have a quiz at the end. And then we're just going to see if anybody's got any questions, and we're going to answer them if they have. Alright, so we'll move on then to preparing your baby's bottle. So, step 1. The risks associated are gastroenteritis. It's a viral infection in the intestines. It can be very, very nasty. Diarrhea, cramping, vomiting. And there is also a risk of death, believe it or not, so it is important to point that out. Bacteria, food poisoning, and of course scalding if the temperature's not right in the bottle. Okay, so the 6 steps. The first one is using sterile equipment, boiling cold tap water, and it has to be tap water, and leaving it to cool for 30 minutes. That's an important one, and we'll cover that in more depth in a few minutes. Add the required amount of water to the bottle. Add the required amount of formula to the bottle. Seems pretty straightforward, but the quantities have to be correct. Cooling the prepared feed quickly, and then using the feed immediately, or storing your made-up bottles in the fridge for use later on. Okay, step 1, using sterile equipment. Washing and sterilising all your utensils properly. Now, this can be done in the dishwasher. Most people use their sterile units that plug them in, but the temperature in the dishwasher is pretty good. It's safe enough to make them sterile. Cleaning the work surfaces. You'd be amazed at the amount of germs and bacteria that are on your work surfaces. You put a bottle down, you put a tit off the bottle down. You know, it's not good. It's dangerous for the child. And then washing your hands with soap and warm water. We all know, you know, the health authority is, you know, continually there's information out there on what your hands can pick up during the day, etc. So it's just, you know, sometimes mummies are going along, they're in a rush. It's something you might overlook quite a lot, but specifically to push that home to them, that they should make sure their hands are very clean when they're dealing with making up their bottles. Step 2 then, boiling cold tap water and leaving it to cool for 30 minutes. Now this is probably one of the most important notes on the 6 steps. Leaving it to cool in the kettle, obviously it's sealed, nothing's going to get into the water to contaminate it, and no longer than 30 minutes. This ensures that the water is not too hot, which is obviously one risk as well, 70 degrees. So when the formula is added to the water, it has to be at the 70-degree temperature because baby food can contain bacteria. It's manufactured in a factory. Yeah, it's in a sterile environment, but that doesn't mean, human factors, something can get into the formula. If the water's at 70 degrees, it's going to kill that bacteria. And then using water warmer than 70 degrees, sorry, I just told you that, will kill the harmful bacteria. If the kettle is left for longer than that, the temperature obviously begins to drop, and it's not going to kill off the bacteria if there's any bacteria present in the formula. So, you can tell your mum, look, stick a timer on the oven, put a timer on your mobile phone, but this is the guideline, this is the safest way to kill off any bacteria. Okay, step 3, adding the required amount of water to the bottle. Seems pretty straightforward, but there is a combination with the water and the formula that activates the food. And putting too little water in, the baby is getting too much feed and not enough liquid to digest it. And vice versa, they're not getting enough feed, they're getting too much liquid. The first one obviously being the most, the one that has to be most concentrated on. And then obviously pour the required amount of water into the sterile bottle, which is pretty self-explanatory. And step 4, add the required amount of formula. To read the instructions on the label, the rule of thumb is 1 scoop to 1 ounce. But just to be sure, sometimes infants are on, certain nutritional, other alternative foods for different reasons, and those scoops there can be different quantities or ratios to water and formula. And add the exact amount of formula to the boiled water using the clean scoop provided. There is a little utensil to scoop off the top, but once you've picked it up, to make sure it's a level with the spoon, and just to use that, not to be picking it up, and just to advise them to use that to make sure it is level and you're getting 1 scoop per 1 ounce. And then replace the lid and shake well. Obviously, the lid's on. Reseal the package to protect it from germs and moisture. Advise them to keep their formula in another press. You don't want any children get into the formula, the children in the house, and they open up the formula and, you don't know what they're doing with it. You go back to use it, you don't know what the child's doing with it. Just probably keep it up higher than other foods and keep it on its own. And then adding too much or too little formula could make your baby ill, as I just spoke about before. And then step 5, so cooling prepared feeds quickly. Okay, holding the bottle under cold running water. So if you're going to feed the child immediately with one of those bottles, just to get it down to the right temperature, or if you're doing a batch of bottles, to cool them down in the sink with cold water, obviously not above the actual top of the bottle, and get them down to the right temperature. If you are feeding the baby straight away, obviously you're going to test one of them, do the test on the arm with the liquid and make sure that it's lukewarm. And then on to step 6, is our final step. Use the feed immediately or store made of bottles in the fridge. So if you're using the feed immediately, shake it, test it, make sure that it's lukewarm. And with that bottle, some babies feed slower than others. So you could be carrying the bottle around for an hour or more in some instances. But you cannot use a feed after 2 hours. It will start to build up bacteria in that bottle and it will make the baby sick. So it's just a rule of thumb, 2 hours has gone by, throw the bottle out and provide another bottle to the baby. If you're storing it in the fridge, cool the bottle slightly longer so the milk should feel cool on the wrist before you put them in the fridge. That could be another half an hour. It's fine because the bottles will last up to 2 hours, so it's just to make sure that they're cool enough for the fridge, okay? And store in the back of the fridge. That's the coolest part of the fridge. And no longer than 24 hours again, okay? So I suppose from step 6, the most important message is never place warm milk in the fridge. And you would be surprised how many people make up bottles and actually just put them straight into a fridge. Some people don't actually know, that can create huge amounts of bacteria in food. It might seem pretty straightforward, but just, drive it home to your mummies. Make sure those bottles are cool before they're put in the fridge, okay? Alright then, so we're going to go on to our conclusion then. So we're just going to review the 6 steps. formula. And then cooling the prepared feeds quickly. So, you know, if you're feeding your child immediately, test it on the hand. If not, just make sure those bottles are cool before they go into the fridge, and no more than 2 hours, okay, for using the bottle. And then use immediately or store in the back of the fridge. Okay? Okay, are they clear to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Any questions on the 6 steps?
No.
Okay? Okay, so we're just going to go on to our what's next. So we've got a quick quiz. So I've got 6 steps for preparing a baby's bottle. So I'm going to hand you out. A quiz. Okay, pretty straightforward. Not a test, just a quiz. I just want to know that you know what we were talking about, just to confirm it. And also we have some booklets here from the Safe Food Authority, and that will bring it through the 6 steps. And any other questions that I may not have covered will absolutely be in this book. It's very detailed, okay? And then also we have evaluation forms. So these are just on the unit and how you felt the training went. And for me, this is absolutely vital to get your feedback, okay?
Michelle, can I just ask you a question?
Yes, Janice, yes.
How, say, some of the mothers now I go to would, they make up the bottles and they'd have the water in the bottles, but they wouldn't put the formula and they'd leave the bottles just with the water to start.
Okay.
How do I get it across to them?
That's a good question. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I mean that's probably actually a lot of mothers seem to do that, and I think I may have done that myself when on my first child. But until I found at this particular point, that particular point on the 70 degrees, okay, that's the selling point to it.
You don't want to scare them, but
no, you don't necessarily. I suppose what you've got to say to your mothers is 70 degrees. There can be bacteria in the formula, but you have to. If you put it in the microwave, you're not going to know what temperature that water is at. How do you know? Absolutely, that's just to eliminate it, okay? Right, thanks Janice, that's fantastic. Okay guys, well thank you very much. That's the end of our unit for today. Hope you enjoyed yourselves.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Okay, thank you.